That's really what makes Avon Lake a community. It's not me, it's not any one thing. It's the people, and it's those that are really dedicated and passionate about the community.
Welcome to episode 69 of the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmin. As we get started, I'd like to recognize the LoraineCounty.com champion sponsors for their ongoing support. Lorain County Commissioners, Emerge Inc., Lorain County Community College, Lorain County JVS, Community Foundation of Lorain County, and WOBL Radio. Today, we're talking with Mark Spaetzel, Mayor of Avon Lake. Join us as Mayor Spaetzel talks about his vision for the future of this lakefront community, including infrastructure upgrades, economic development, and maintaining a safe environment. He shares insights into housing development, collaboration with the Avon Lake City Schools, public safety, and the reimagining of the former coal power plant into a mixed-use lakefront development. In 2012, we moved the Emerge office to its current location in Avon Lake. Beyond the professional space itself, we were looking for a walkable environment where we could head to the bank for deposits or grab lunch without always relying on our car. Avon Lake offered exactly that. Our bank sits just across the parking lot, and we can walk to at least 8 different restaurants in Town Center and the Landings. The city has also been consistently supportive of Emerge. The former mayor attended our grand opening celebration, we received a COVID grant from the city in 2020, and we have worked on the city's website through 3 different administrations. Even before Mayor Spaetzel took office, I remember Ted Esborn, Avon Lake's Community Development Director, telling me he would be a strong leader for the community. From my perspective, Ted was right. Today, Avon Lake sits on a generational opportunity to transform the former power plant site into a signature lakefront asset. It will require years of planning and effort, but it represents exactly the kind of long-term vision that makes Avon Lake such a great place to live and work. Here is my conversation with Mayor Mark Spaetzel.
Mark Spaetzel, Mayor, City of Avon Lake.
Welcome, Mayor Spaetzel. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights. To begin with, how would you describe the character of Avon Lake? What makes it a unique place?
Avon Lake, as everybody knows, is a lakefront community. There's only so many of us, so that makes us unique off the bat. But Avon Lake is a suburban community, so we have those suburban amenities with a small town feel. And we're very family oriented. We have great schools. We are one of the top safest cities in Ohio. We have 227 or so acres of parks, so we're spread over 15 parks in the city. We're very family oriented. In fact, my vision for this city is being the premier lakefront community in Ohio. You know, when you talk about Avon Lake, it's just such a wonderful community. The concerts that we do, the programs we put on, the festivals, and all those things are what make a community. We have 21 plus nonprofits that are involved in our community council. Each one of them is a piece of the fabric of our community. They bring so much to it. I just read something about our American Legion, who gave away $40,000, I think it was, in scholarships. And Kiwanis gave away $18,000 in scholarships. And these are the nonprofits that work alongside the government that really make a community what it is, that really tie the whole community together. And it's just such a wonderful thing. I think we take it for granted. This doesn't happen in every community. Northeast Ohio in our area is unique. We have a lot of communities that have like that, but that's really what makes Avon Lake a community.
Let's start with, what are your key priorities and initiatives that you and your administration are focused on for the city?
Everything revolves around people. And one of the things that when I was running for mayor and got elected, was running on is improving our infrastructure. Every city deals with infrastructure issues. That was one of my priorities, is to improve the infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, I'm not just talking about roads, but our parks, our city buildings, all that needs to be upgraded. And you try to do that within the fiscal confines that you have, right? So that's always the challenge. But I think improving the infrastructure is certainly one, and then improving our amenities through our Parks and Recreation Department. And lastly, I think just maintaining the safe environment that we have for our residents.
You've stated your vision is to make Avon Lake the premier lakefront community for families.
Yeah.
What does this vision look like in practical terms, and what are the steps you're taking to make that a reality?
Sure. When people talk about why they moved to Avon Lake, and I always ask this question, is they say they moved here because of the great schools, a safer environment, and relatively low taxes. So that's a family atmosphere, right? Those are things that go to your family. Very proud of our safety forces, our police and fire, who do a wonderful job. And I think when you move to a community and you don't have to worry about safety, that just opens up the doors for so many other things. So that's a big part of it, is just that safety. And then the amenities that we provide through our recreation department. We have a variety of housing availability. And I think all those things, and the great schools, of course, and I give kudos to our schools. They're fantastic. I'm a product of Avon Lake schools. When you put all that together, it really creates that family atmosphere. So we just continue to try to reinforce that and make all those things better. There's always room for improvement.
How is Avon Lake approaching economic development? So what are your initiatives in this area? What was your economic development vision moving forward?
So we're not Avon. In fact, I listened to my counterpart, Brian Jensen, on this show. He does a great job.
Yeah.
We get along well. We're not Avon, right? We're not going to compete with these big stores and all this. They have I-90 running through there, and obviously that creates the dynamic. So we have a little bit of a different economic availability here in Avon Lake. So we do have industry. Of course, we have Ford, we have Aviant and Lubrizol and all these other companies, which is great. So we have a little bit of a mix of industry. We have some retail and we have housing. We're still more of a residential community, but those other things help us. When you talk about economic development in the city of Avon Lake, we're kind of going after those small town outside of the industry. We're going after small town type of businesses. We are still trying to fill the empty vacated top store at Town Center. We have new owners of that complex, and they're working very hard to bring in a grocery tenant there. I think that'll improve things quite a bit. We're not trying to reinvent who we're not. We're trying to be who we are, and those are the things that we are. We're more of a small town, small business with a smattering of the industry that helps keeps our taxes low. We do a lot of economic development programs to facilitate that idea, including retaining our current businesses and offering incentives to other business to come here, but we don't go out and try to poach anybody else's businesses. If they want Avon Lake, we're here to make it as easy as possible.
Let's talk a little bit more about housing. What's your approach to housing? How do you balance growth with protecting the overall quality of life?
We are growing, and we're also beginning to start to run out of land, both residentially and commercially. We currently have, I think, 8 subdivisions in progress. So we have a lot of housing. I think that goes to what we're talking about is a community of families. We have a lot of families that want to move into Avon Lake, so the demand for housing goes up. So these 8 subdivisions are currently being done, and we have 2 more, I think, that are in the planning stages. So we're going to be running out. There's always been a balance between having homes and having green space and balancing that with retail and industry. Given that there's not a lot of land available for us to turn into parks, and we can talk about the Avon Lake Power Plant here in a little bit, I'm sure, because that's an interesting opportunity there. So we try to balance the housing needs with what the community currently is desiring. And one of the things that has been very popular and may not be popular with everybody is these townhomes that have low maintenance, where people are looking to move into a community and not have to worry about the yard work and big yards. And they want to downsize into that. And we offer a variety of those kind of homes, and they've been extremely popular. And you'll see more of those.
As you mentioned, Avon Lake Schools is a big part of the community,
Yeah.
as they have a great reputation, consistently ranked among the top schools in the state. How does the city collaborate with the schools and support the schools?
We certainly do. I've always said the schools go the way of the city and the city goes the way of the schools. So we have to be in a partnership for our community. And I'll give you an example. So recently they had to redo their tennis courts because they were no longer insurable. They were in that bad a condition, so they had to close their tennis courts. I work with Joel Magyar, the superintendent, and Ed Lawver, who's their facilities manager, and we work together so that we can contribute to the renovation of those tennis courts and adding pickleball, which, as everybody knows, pickleball is huge. So we were able to collaborate with them, and we donated money to be able to get that facility done. And then we will be able to program that space as well. So that kind of collaboration. We're also looking at, you're probably aware, Erie View was recently closed by the school district. We have declining enrollment. They're trying to consolidate to save money, which are good things, but everybody loves their community schools in their neighborhoods. And I don't think anybody wants to see Erie View torn down, even though it's not going to be used any longer as a school building. So we're in talks with them right now to be able to purchase that building and use it as a community center.
I saw that Avon Lake recently was ranked among the top 10 safest cities in Ohio. What do you think has contributed to that recognition, and how is the city working to keep police, fire, and emergency services strong?
There's 2 things. And being former law enforcement myself, like I said, I was in law enforcement for 35 years. So I understand the law enforcement side of that. First thing, obviously, is we have a great police department who are very passionate about serving the community in the best way they can. They get great training. We try to provide them with all the tools they need to do their job. And that goes for the fire department too, right? When you talk about safety, it's not just police. It's the ability to, when you're having a health issue, being able to respond and help that. We have great public safety services, and I give our police department a lot of credit for that. being one of the safest communities. We prioritize, and this is not just me, this is council. We all prioritize public safety. We think it's that important that it sets the tone for everything else you do. And so our council has been very generous in supporting our public safety, which is really important. We just provide as much training as we can to keep those skills and those professional, dedicated people up to date. But also that I have found, and again, my 35 years, is that it's really the community. It's the people that live in the community that make it safe. It's what you tolerate, what you won't tolerate, the values and principles of those people who live in your city. If you've got great people living in your city, which I 100% believe we do, that makes the job of the police department that much easier. So it's a combination of all those things. You got to have a great police department, but you got to have residents that care. And when you put those things together, you come up with a safe city.
When you talk with residents, what are some of the common concerns they raise and what positive feedback or ideas do they share?
You hear everything from big picture items down to minutia, right? It might be the neighbor next door. It could be what's your overall economic development plan for the next 20 years. Constantly hear what a great community Avon Lake is. Born and raised here, and we really grew over the last 50 years. So it's a great place to live. The concerns that come up generally are funding, which goes to taxes, right? Everybody's always concerned about taxes. Understandably, we want to be fiscally responsible. And then I think dealing with the infrastructure needs that any growing community has. A lot of our roads, a lot of our sewers, a lot of our public buildings were built many years ago, and you have to maintain those, and sometimes you have to replace those. We're looking at a situation now where our fire department needs to be replaced because we outgrew it years ago. We're trying to find the most economical way to be able to replace our fire department and give them new space. Public Works Department, for example, is woefully outdated and undersized and underutilized. So we need to be able to do something with that as well. So these big infrastructure things, I think, are people, they recognize that. We had a really rough winter in 24, 25, which really ate up our roads. This is not unique to Avon Lake. Everybody experienced this. The roads got beat up. We spent a lot of time working on our roads, but those are the complaints I get is, hey, potholes. The parks need to have their grass mowed again, and because it grows fast. All the way down to barking dogs and things like that. So we hear across the board of issues. Thankfully, none of these are major issues. And I always say when somebody calls me with something minor and they feel bad about calling me with something minor, I said, hey, this means we live in a great city, right? If this is the issues that we get to deal with, thank God, we'll take it and we'll deal with it. So there are never any big serious issues. They're just more minor things that we have to deal with. And that's what we do as government. We try to handle those things.
Avon Lake recently won the 2025 American Institute of Architects Urban Design Award for reimagining the former coal-fired power plant into a mixed-use lakefront asset. What is the latest on the plans for the project, and how do you hope it'll benefit the community?
That's the topic of the day, is the former power plant. So that plant went online somewhere in 1923. So over 100 years ago, that power plant went online. It served the community well. It provided jobs and energy. At some point, all good things end, and this ended. And now there's a new opportunity, a new challenge for Avon Lake, and it's a once in a multi-generational opportunity. And we want to make sure that we take advantage of that. We want to make sure that we do that project right. So certainly the city of Avon Lake does not own the land. And that plan you're talking about, the one in war, that was done by Gensler out of Chicago. It's a great conceptual plan of what that could be. It's changed a little bit because some of the buildings they highlighted in that plan were removed, but conceptually it's a great plan. And what it contemplated was parkland along Lake Erie, and it contemplated some residential retail behind that facing Lake Road. That's the plan that we have always envisioned as a city. And we have a developmental agreement that allows us to purchase 23 acres of that land, of the 40 total, and that would be turned into lakefront land. That's a unique opportunity along any stretch of any Great Lake. The opportunity to turn private acreage along the lakefront into public is very rare. And it'll be over 3,000 feet of new lakefront land. That would be a park, and it would be contiguous to our Miller Road Park. So we would create essentially over 40 acres or so of park along the lake. How many lakefront communities have 40 acres of lakefront park? When I talk about family and I talk about amenities, that's a huge one. So that's the value of this property to Avon Lake. So we're going to continue down the path of trying to purchase that land. We have a unique developmental agreement to be able to do that where it doesn't impact our general fund. We use TIF, tax increment financing, to make the purchase and hopefully develop that land. But that's a multi-year project. We're still in the process of that. It's going to take some time. All the major demolition has been done on the site. So if you drive by today, you will notice it looks quite different than even 6 months ago. And that's a result of the work done by ALERG or Chara who owns the property. We've been working very closely with them on this developmental agreement in the process of turning that into the vision that we see. And what we've heard from the vast majority of residents in Avon Lake is we need public access to the lake. We currently have 2 points of that. We have Miller Road Park, where we have our boat launch and our fishing pier, and then we have Veterans Park. Other than that, all the lakefront property is privately owned and inaccessible to the general public. By adding all of this, it will greatly increase the ability for not only Avon Lake residents, but Lorain County residents to really enjoy the lake.
So potentially the city would own the park space and then a private developer would develop out the commercial side.
That's correct.
Of it.
And that private development would be what is basically going to fund the private purchase. Through this plan, somebody would be presenting a plan to develop that private area. As that property tax increase would naturally go up because of the building, we would take that property tax increase and apply it to the purchase and development of the parkland.
Avon Lake's part of a broader lakeshore corridor in Lorain County, including Sheffield Lake, Lorain, and Vermilion. How do you guys work together on this?
We all know that we have great value in the Great Lakes, and so we work together. I talked to Rocky, and then even going all the way west to Vermilion, Jim Forthover, great mayor. I know he's not running again, but we all have the same interest in access to the lake and understanding the value of that. We all have access to the water. We also have access to the fact that water treatment plants and water supply plants are on the lake, and those are the things that are important to us as well. All of the mayors of Lorain County, we collaborate well together. We get along. We know that as the region goes, so goes our community. So we're all about collaboration, working together for the betterment of our whole area. And I think that's maybe not unique, but it certainly feels unique because we get along so well. And we certainly do collaborate on those things. For the lakefront communities, yes, we do collaborate. Sheffield Lake did a wonderful thing. They got bike lanes all along Lake Road, right? We did too, but ours were not great. So we have several years ago, we increased the width of our bike lanes. We repaved Lake Road. We're also adding sidewalks to Lake Road to make it more accessible to pedestrians and bicyclists so they can do that corridor all the way from Cleveland, all the way out past Vermilion to Sandusky if they want to.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. What's your background and what led you to become mayor?
I say I'm the accidental mayor sometimes. So I spent 35 years in law enforcement. I was hired by Bay Village Police in 1985 and worked my way up through the police department. I spent, again, 35 years there, everything from a patrol officer to a sergeant to lieutenant. I ran our detective bureau for a long time, which was a fantastic job. Then became chief and then retired in June of 20 as the police chief. After I retired, I had no idea what I was going to do. And the unfortunate situation was that Gary Izzo, who was the Ward 3 council person here, had health issues, had to resign. And I said, this is my hometown. I gave 35 years of service to Bay. It's time I give back to Avon Lake a little bit. And not that I didn't. I was a coach here and volunteered, and my church is here, did a lot of things. But governmental-wise, I never participated. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring for Ward 3 council person. I was able to get that. And then I was reelected to that position. And I thought that was it. This is great. I have a say in government. I can listen to the people. We can move forward together. And then Greg Zoka decided he wasn't going to run again. I knew that there was somebody else in mind that was going to run, and I would fully support that person. They decided they weren't going to run it. And I was encouraged to run for that position. That's why I say accidental. It was never a plan for me ever to run for mayor, although I'm 100% enjoying it and thoroughly happy that I did. It wasn't on the radar. About 2 months before the day you had to sign up to run, I made the decision to do that. It's been a wonderful experience. I've been very pleased to be able to do it. So that's my kind of work history. So I've been in municipal government now for over 40 years.
As mayor, what are you most proud of accomplishing?
You know what? It's really the people. What I'm most proud of is our residents and our employees, honestly. They make everything go, right? We talked about the safety and how the safety of a community is relied upon the people that live here. We just have tremendous people here. And I've grown up with all these folks, and they're just good people, good, hardworking people. We have such a variety of knowledge and skills and abilities here. And our residents are 100% bought into Avon Lake. They're passionate about Avon Lake. We see that when we have boards and commissions and people want to sit on them so they can improve the city. It's about the people, and the people make it. And then our employees, again, working in municipal government so long, I know the value of good employees and what they can do to make a city better. And our employees are extremely dedicated, extremely professional. They're passionate about what they do. And I couldn't ask for more. When I came in as mayor, there were 5 director positions I had to fill because of attrition and retirements. And those 5 individuals that we've hired as new department heads have been awesome. They make, as every mayor, any CEO or anybody who runs anything will tell you, It's all about the people that you have working for you and the abilities. And I just have great people. So it makes my job that much easier. So very proud of that.
Going forward, what are your goals? What would you still like to accomplish in your first term?
We talked about the power plant. Obviously, I want to continue to see that move along in the direction and the vision that the community has for that. We have the Avon Lake Play Space, or ALPS, which is currently under construction. We finished phase one. Phase two is currently in progress, and that should be done by the end of the year. So that's certainly something that we all look forward to. I want to continue on the path of improving our infrastructure. One area that our city, I believe, can do a better job in is working with our seniors. That's a growing population. So currently we have our senior center, if you want to call it that, at the old fire station at 83 and Lake. That's very restricted by the space that we have there. So programming is restricted, number of people participating is restricted. So I'd like to expand our availability and our programs to seniors. One of the ways to do that is, again, looking at Erie View as a possibility of moving our recreation department to there, moving our senior center to there, and creating a community place. And that would then open up the ability for us to increase programming to seniors, draw more seniors into programming. That's just a growing population everywhere, and Avon Lake is no different. And then talking about the power plant in general, but just accessing the lake and improving our amenities. We have a master plan for Weiss Field, which is one of our largest parks. We have plans for some of the other ones as well. I will say that when you talk about what you'd like to see accomplished and done, it all takes money, right? Everything's about funding. So one thing important to me is doing all these things in a fiscally responsible manner. Nobody likes to be taxed, but taxpayers pay for all these things that we do. So we want to be cognizant of that and do it in the best way possible. The bottom line for all municipalities in this area, all these cities, is that we run up against our needs and our wants and available resources. We're trying to do the best we can with that.
How would you describe your leadership style? What principles shape how you lead, and who has influenced your leadership?
My leadership style is a servant leadership. I've always been about service, whether it's coaching or being involved in my church, and just that service orientation is what I've always been about. And as far as leadership goes through my careers, leadership changes depending on what you need to do at any particular time. So you adapt your leadership style, but overall, the servant leadership has been how I do things. And that was really influenced by a lot of things. Certainly my parents, my faith is another big one. My service, not only to my community, but to my family and to my God. And those things are really important. They kind of drive me. When you talk about servant, I sometimes feel guilty that I get more out of serving than I might give. And so I'm always trying to give more to make up for that feeling that I have. And I go on a mission trip every year throughout the United States with our church group, and we take 85 kids and we go do renovation work. And boy, that kind of stuff is just gold. You know, I've always built my life on the principles of integrity, professionalism, and dedication to whatever you do. I will say my dad was a quiet leader in that he was one of those show the way and follow his lead on how he does things. He didn't say much. But boy, it was so important to him to do the right things the right way. And that's how I go forward.
Outside of City Hall, what are some of your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
I have 6 grandkids, and that's my number one hobby. I just love the grandkids. I enjoy reading. I enjoy travel, bicycling, house renovation. I do a lot of that, remodeling, woodworking, spending time with my family in a broader sense. All those things are things I really enjoy. I will say, though, I also enjoy work. And anybody who knows me will say that. Because I don't see what I do as really work. If you enjoy what you're doing in life, it's not really work. However many hours that takes, whatever it takes, my family understands that. And I'm not going to call my work a hobby, but certainly it's something I enjoy doing. I don't mind spending time on that.
Finally, where can people go get more information on Avon Lake and connect with you?
They can always call me, 440-930-4100. My email is on our website, which is avonlake.org. That's really the best place. We try to get everything there. We also have a very active social media presence. We put out monthly newsletters. We also put out a quarterly newsletter that's a print and gets mailed. I think I'm due for another Mayor's Minute, which is another way we try to reach out to our community. Just call. We're always open to listening to the community. And we don't operate in a vacuum. We want to be transparent. We want to hear from the residents. So please call, please email, let us know what you think. The best way to operate is to hear from the community that we have to serve.
Thank you, Mayor Spaetzel, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LoraineCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LoraineCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.